so we'll be creating this e-commerce store in this tutorial. Simple e-commerce site created with Nuxt and Vuetify. So here we have this carousel. Scroll through some of the products that are on sale. Down here we just have a list of products in a slider, newsletter box, and a footer, and of course this scroll to top thing button. Click on a product and it carry you to the details of that product. You can add it to your cart, get us the notification from Sweet Alert, and then a number pops up on your cart. Click it and you see the product here. You can increase or decrease the quantity, continue to checkout, add your details, and then complete your order. And of course, after completing your order, clears the cart and you can shop again. There's this theme selector up here, allows you to switch between light and dark theme. And if you click on this little store icon, it takes you to the products, categories on the side, search bar, and then of course clicking on products take you to the details. You can add it to your cart. Alright, so let's get cracking. So head over to VS Code and we'll create a new Nuxt app with npx create Nuxt app, and we're already in the folder that we want the files, so we'll just use a dot. Yes, let's proceed with this package. Let's just name it commerce. I'll be using JavaScript, npm Vuetify as my UI framework. I don't need Axios, I need PWA, and I'll be using content just to store the data for the site, since we're not hooking up to any server or anything to get the data for our website. So content, so you press the space bar to select that. Just enter. Already have the pretty extension installed, won't be using any linting tools, plus they're annoying, so next. No testing, single page, because we can actually host this on Netlify when we're done. Static Netlify, and it's recommended that you select the JS.config.json file here. So enter your GitHub username. We'll be using Git as a version control system. Let's go. And now that we have the Nuxt app created, I'm just gonna go ahead and add some dependencies. I'll be adding Nuxt types, Sweet Alert for the notification, Nuxt web font loader to change the font from Roboto. So let me just copy this and paste it in the terminal. So we have Nuxt types. This will help us with the types in Nuxt. This is the UI package for Sweet Alert, the material one. Web font loader, of course, to change the fonts. View Sweet Alert to show the toasts and pop-ups. So let's go with those. Alright, so once they're installed, what I like to do is to just configure as much as I can in the nuxt.config.js file here. So usually just remove this title template if I'm not worried about SEO. Just call this free commerce. You can add a description here. E-commerce website, it doesn't matter. CSS. Do I want any CSS in this app? Yeah, let's add CSS file. Let's call it main.css and just copy the path and add it here. Good. I need to add a few modules to this thing, so let me see, what modules do I need? I need the Nuxt web font loader module, the suite alert module as well. So let me just get those and add them here. So just paste these in here. And this no CSS is coming from the documentation for Vue Suite Alert tool. If you want to use this in Nux with a different theme, you have to add this no CSS to the end of the module name. Since we added the material UI theme for Suite Alert, we can just add that in the CSS array as well. So let's just paste this here. We need to configure web font loader. You can check out the documentation for web font loader. I'll just add it to the description. But essentially you can use any the free fonts on Google. So let me just put the configuration for the font that I'll be using in here. I'll be using DM Sans. Actually, I like this font. I think it's the font that Nux uses on their official website. I actually like it. The Vuetify object. If you visit this website, where you can find the documentation for the Vuetify module for Nux, they'll actually show you how you can configure different parts of the module. So the first thing I like to add is tree shaking. I'll set that to true, and then the default assets. In the default assets object, you get to specify the font as well as the default font size. And I think this will override the font size that Vuetify set, the global font size. So yeah, let's work with that. The next thing I like to change is my theming. So I'll change this from dark to light. Of course, disable lights, and I'll be using deep purple because I actually like purple. The darken one version. I'm going to actually add a custom color in this object so I can use it throughout the application. For the light theme, the background color will be white. Is that white? Wait, not too many F's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, good. And I'm going to add a surface color as well. So this color will be used for like elevated services like cards and nav bars, etc. So let's go surface. Oh, I can't spell. Alright, good. And then let me just copy this down, create a dark variant. Of course, I'm going to use the same primary color, and for the background color I'm going to use this one, and for the surface color for the dark theme, I'm going to use this one. That's it for the most part for configuration. Let's just save this. If you would like, you can actually add configuration for the PWA module here. Alright, so let's go to cleaning up some of these files. So we can close this, and then we go to components. I won't be using any of these components, so let me just select all of them. For the layouts, I will just remove the default layouts. Alright, good. And I don't need this inspire page. Don't need this in my template, so let me just create a new template. Just leave that empty for now, and let's configure the error page. Alright, so error page, I don't like this thing because this default error page just shows a text with a link in the top left corner of the page. I don't like that. So let's update this. I want my error page to look something like this. Just a page with the text nicely formatted in the middle, with the error message showing exactly what went wrong. So vContainer, probably give this a class. Fill height 0, justify this row center, the column. Let's give this columns a 10. Oh, not 12, 10. Alright, message. I want to say, oops, something went wrong here. And then show the error message. And the error message is coming from this error prop that's passed in whenever an error is thrown in Nux. So error.message. Let's style this thing a little. So we want red text. That works. And let's just create a button that will redirect our user to the home page. So that's slash. Capitalize the text here. Text here. Capitalize. And go home. Good. Now let's run our app and see what it looks like. npm run dev or yarn dev if you're using yarn. Alright, so we can go to localhost 3000 and we should see our application. Let's go. So open a new tab, localhost 3000, and here's our app. And it's displaying the index page. Of course, in our index page we had nothing, so it's showing nothing. But if we should go to a route that doesn't exist, just to show the error page, here we go. I guess we can make this button primary color. Primary color button. Color primary. If we go back to here, yep. So the message is this page could not be found. Alright, that works for me. So let's go home to our blank page. Alright, so the app is up and running. We removed some of the default configurations. What's next? Let's add some data to our content folder. Alright, so Nux content is this awesome module that allows you to store data in this content folder, and you can actually call that data. It acts as a server type of thing. So what we will do is we'll create a products folder, products, and then I'll add a products.json file inside this folder. Wait, so right click, new file, products.json. And I already have some products here, so let me just add them in. Like I said earlier, the images are coming from Pexels. I have 5 products here, and just so we are familiar with the properties, they all have a unique ID, name, if they're on sale or not, the tags for the product, image URL, description, which is just some blurb with some text, price, sale price, and ratings. Alright, so we have 5 of these. Let's save that. We also want to create a categories folder. So let's just create a new file. Wait, I think this is being created in products. So new file, category slash categories.json, and of course let's just copy these over. So each category have an ID, a name, and an image, and this is what will show on the product index page. Yeah, so when you go to search for a product, these categories will be on the left. So let's just save that, save this, and close the error, and let's just restart our server. Getting some warning messages from our console. something about the JSON format. Let's see what's wrong with the JSON format. Nothing's wrong with JSON format. I think we just need to restart. All right, let's just restart. All right, no warnings. All right, let's jump back to the website to see if we'll get any warnings there. Oh no, nothing here. Let's just refresh. All right, I think we're good. All right, so since we have no warnings, let's add our navbar to the application. So we just go to the components folder and create a new file called nav.view. And in here, we'll just add our bar and give it a few props. So the first one I want to give it is the color prop, and this will be the surface color that we added to our Vuetify configuration. Let's give it a height of about 80 and the class of L. This class I like to create in our main.css file because I don't like the default elevation that comes with the navbar. So let's just give this box shadow of 0 pixels, 4 pixels, 10. Get ready to 10, and the color will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.08. Let's make this important so that it overrides the elevation from Vuetify. Another class that I like to add is this class called pointer. It just sets the cursor of the pointer for different paragraphs that I want to add a click thing to. So let's just save that. So I have L here. Let's add the app prop, and this basically just adds the position fix style to the app bar and keeps it at the top of the application. Another thing that I want to do, is to add styling based on the breakpoint of our application. So I have to bind the style, and we'll pass it an object, and the style that we want to adjust is the padding. So we'll just say we want the padding to be X while we're at this breakpoint. So for me, I'm just going to say Vuetify dot breakpoint dot md and up. So we're going to check if the breakpoint is medium and up, and if it is, we'll say that we want the padding to be 0 pixels top and bottom and 100 pixels left and right. If it's not medium and up, then just leave it blank. That's all this is saying. Alright, so we can close the app bar tag. Let's just add this component to our index file. So let's copy the relative path, go to index and paste it here. And this will work without actually doing import blah 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 down here, because of the components module that was added to Nuxt recently. Once you set components to true in your nuxt.config file, it will automatically import your components. So let's just save this and see what's happening on the website. So you can see here we have a surface color of the dark surface color that we set, and I think this is because, let me just close the demo up. I think this is because we have the application set to dark. So let's just check back on that in VS Code. So in default we have dark here. I think that can stay as dark. In our nuxt.config we have light set to true. Let's surface is okay, so this should actually be dark, not light. So once we update this, the app restarts, then we should see that this thing is white. Refresh, and it's white. And this is the elevation that I like on my application. The next thing that we want to do is to actually add the background color for the application when it's in dark and light mode. So to do that, we can just go to the layouts folder. Where's the layouts folder? And go to default and update the styling here. So we're just gonna add this. We're gonna bind the style again, pass in an object, and this time we'll pass in the background color. And for CSS properties that are hyphenated, you have to use camel case when you're passing them in an object to the style here once you're binding it like this. So we're gonna check again if we are using the light or dark mode from Vuetify, and then we'll display a background color based on that. So we're gonna say Vuetify dot theme dot dark. So this will check if we're using the dark theme, and if we're using the dark theme, we want to use this color. If not, we're going to use white. So let's just paste in our color here, and that should be that. In our navbar, the next thing I want to add is the title for the website, and for that I'll use a component from Vuetify called the toolbar title. And in this, I'm just gonna add the word free commerce and add some style to this. So I'm gonna add a class of text MD H5. What this MD represents is medium and up. It should be H5, and on lowest medium and lower, or less than medium size screen, it should just use a default text style for this. I want the font weight to be bold as well, and I'm gonna add that pointer class because when you click on this thing, I want it to take you to the home page. Now to add that functionality, we just call the click method on this element, and we're gonna call router $router, and we're gonna push to the index page. So we can save that and check to see if it's showing on our browser. There it is, and you can see the cursor change to pointer here. So if you weren't on this page, and click on the free commerce title here, it would take us to the home page. Alright, back to VS Code. So the next thing we want to add are the actual buttons. So I want some space between the title and the buttons, so I'll just add a V spacer here, and then I'll add my icon buttons. So we hit an icon, and we just want to add the icons, so we'll add the icon. I'm going to change the size of the icons because by default I think they're 24, so I'm just going to change them to 20, and then call the icon. So it's MDI store all the line for the first icon, and then let's copy this down, and I want the cart icon next. After the cart icon, I want a divider there, and this will be a vertical divider with some margin because I want some space between the divider and the buttons. Alright, so the class is going to be MX For medium and up, we want it to be 5. And for smaller screens, we just want 2. Not so much space between them. And then now we're gonna add the last button in our app bar, and this is just gonna toggle the theme. So we're gonna use this icon called brightness 7. Alright, so let's save it and see what it looks like. And as you can see, we have our icons here. Not doing anything just yet, but they're working. Let's just zoom in a little so you guys can see what's happening. Bam, 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 bam. Alright. Now that we have the navbar set up for the most part, I think we can create the footer. So let's create our footer files. Just gonna create a new component called footer.view, and in the footer we're just gonna create a card. We want this card to be tile. This will remove the border radius. We want it to be flat. This will remove the elevation. We want to give it a class. So on medium screen, the padding will be 10 all around. On smaller screens, it will be 5. And we want the text to be in the center. And of course, the color of this footer card will be that surface color that we added to the Vuetify object. So we're gonna add h2 tag and the name of our application, for eCommerce. And let's add a class to this h2 tag. So on medium screens, I want the text to be h6, and I want the font to be bold. I'm going to create some social media links. So just create a data function down here, should return an object, and of course the SM links is going to be an array of objects. So it's going to be icon, and the icon that we want to display for this social media link, so let's just Facebook, and then the actual link, which is just going to be a hashtag for now. So we can save that, and let's just copy this down a few times. So we have Facebook, we want Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Alright, so up here we want to create the buttons to go to the different social media pages. So I'll just create a div with a class of text center, and this will center the buttons. And we're going to create a V button with a V4 on it, and this V4 is just going to loop over the objects inside the social media array that we created just a while ago. So just say button I in SM, and we have to add a key. I'm just gonna give my key social media and index. That works. Color of the button, let's just use a surface color. The class margin right by 2. We want this to be a fab button, and we don't want any elevation, so we go with the press. And inside the button, we're just gonna render the icon. So we're gonna use B, the icon, and save that. Now if we add this component to our page, let's copy the path to our index page. Let's see what it looks like. So save that, head back to the browser, and there it is. Now of course, as we add content, this will be pushed down, I don't want it to be fixed down here, so I'll just leave it like this for now. Back to VS Code. Let's just close these files. Don't need this anymore. Don't need this for now. Don't need this for now. Don't need this for now. Alright. So now that we added the footer, let's try getting the data from our content folder inside our index page. So to do that, I'll be using the created hook. Inside this created hook, I'll just be calling the information from our content folder. To do that, I actually need to create different properties that can be used in the template. So let's go with products, and this will be null initially, and we want the sale items as well. So up here we're just gonna say this dot products is equal to this content and the folder that we'll be searching for the products in, which is products. So products, and then we just want to get the items where the on sale property is equal to true. Then we call fetch. We want to do this. Oh no, this is for the actual sale items. So the sale items, and we want to do something similar for products. So we're not going to use a where clause for our products. We're just going to get all of them. So we'll fetch them like this. And once we hit save and hit back to the browser, we should be able to refresh and get the data. So let's just go to our view extension here, navigate to our index page. Ooh, and it's actually returning a promise. So what we need to do is we need to head back to VS Code and actually update our code to wait on this thing to get resolved before assigning it to the data variables. So await, and of course, in order to use await in any function, you need to make it asynchronous. So once you hit save there, go back to Chrome, refresh. We have our products, and we have our sale items. Alright, so now that we know that we're getting back the data, we can actually start rendering them on our page. I'm going to create a carousel to display the sale items. Let me just create that component now. So it's, let's say, call it home carousel. Lovely. Alright, so we'll create a V carousel. Ooh. And we're just gonna give this height for 100 view height, and we're gonna hide the delimiter background. Now in the V carousel, it actually provides a slot for you to override the default next and previous buttons, so we're going to override them as well. Just create a template, and the named slots, let's go with previous, and let's pass an object here. We'll destructure the object that's passed to us from the previous slot, and it pass in attributes and on. So we want to use a fab button for previous and next buttons. So let's just create a VBTN, just name them fab. Let's make the color transparent. Let's make that depressed to take away the elevation. And we will need to bind the attributes Let's pass back, and the v on should be this on that's passed to us. For the icon for this button, we're gonna use the arrow left, so that's MDI arrow left button, and let's just change the size 20. And we're gonna do something similar for the next button. Let's do next, and this should be right. All right, good. So now that we have the previous and next button overridden, let's add the carousel items. So v carousel item, and we're going to loop over the sale items in this v carousel item component and just display them as a carousel item. So we need v4, and for each product and index in sale items, should be an underscore, and we're getting this squiggle line because we need to pass in a key or create a key, and the key will be sale item I index. Yep, that works. And then we can actually close this. So for each sale item that's passed in, it will render a carousel item in this carousel. So let's accept the sale items prop. It should be an object, and the prop type will be an array. Now what do we want to render here? We want to render an image, so we're going to use vImage. The height's going to be 100 view height, and the source is going to be the image on this product. So it's p.image, and inside this image we will have a container with a class of fill height, and we're going to render a row with the dense prop, and we're going to align it center. Now we only want one column, so we're going to render v column, and for medium and up it's going to be 7. It's going to take up 7 of the 12 slots. Inside this column, I'm going to have a div, and this div is going to have a style to change the background color. So we're going to put a white background color behind our text. So background color is going to be RGB 245. Give it an opacity of about 8. And we will also want to add a class to this div. We're going to add a padding on medium screens and up of 10, and on smaller screens 5. It's going to have rounded corners, and the text is going to be black regardless of the theme. We're also going to center the text, and we want the text to be on the left on larger screens. Let's save that. Of course, we're not going to see anything yet on our index page because we haven't imported this component. So let's just add the product information. So I want the h2 tag with a class of text medium h3, and on smaller screens h5, and this is going to be the name of our product. Then we want to show the price of the product, so that's going to be p price, and let's give this a class. On larger screens we want it to be h5, and on smaller screens we want it to have subtitle 1 as a size. We want this to be our primary color as well, so we use primary text, and some margin from the top, margin top 5. Next we want to add the product description, so let's add another p tag, p.description, and the styling on this, class text medium 42, and a margin bottom of 7. Alright, lastly to this, we want to add our button, and this button will be the price. To remove the elevation, we'll have a color of primary, class of text capitalization, capitalize, and a minimum height of 40. And what will this button say? This button will just say check it out. Alright, so let's save this and add it to our index page. So boom, boom. So let's add it below our nav. And let's pass in the sale items. So bind sale items to sale items here. Let's close this and see if it works. And it does. So each sale item is here. It's good. Check it out button is here. And if you check the content file in VS Code, you'll see that only 3 products have the on sale parameter set to true. This one, and the watch. Alright, so now that we have our sale items being displayed, we can actually move on to adding the slider that's on the home page. This will display all our products. So let's just close this one, add some space below it, and let's add a container. This container will just have like a label saying, hey, you can check these out. Let's give it a class. Let's give it a class of on medium screens I want the text to be H4, and on smaller screens let's just leave it at A6. Add some space below this, and we want to create a component called product sliders. So let me just create that now, product slider. And in this component we're just gonna create we're just gonna use the vSlide group component to display all our products. So vSlide group, and the vSlide group component accepts multiple vSlide items. So vSlide item. Now we're going to use a v4 on the vSlide item to iterate over the products that we'll be passing in. So v4 products I in products, and of course we have to give it a key. Each item needs a key. We're just going to say hot product I. Let's leave it at that. Of course we need to pass the prop in, So we're going to pass in these products, and it's going to be an array. So here we need a card that will display all our products. So let's go. These cards will be links, the color, surface, the width. Let's give it a width of 300. Class. We're gonna override the elevation that comes with the cards from Vuetify and add our own. And let's give it a margin of 2, a margin bottom of 5, and a margin right of 5. Now inside each card we will have an image at the top. Image will have a height of 300, and the source will be the current products image URL. Current products image URL, yeah. So we can close this. It's always good practice to have a placeholder while the image is being loaded. Vuetify actually provides this slot for images, so we can just create a template and create placeholder slot. And for placeholder, I'm just going to copy and paste this circular progress bar in. So it has a width of 2 pixels, a size of 100, the color will be primary, and indeterminate as the state. So it will be spinning, spinning, spinning. Let's save that. Now for our card title below the image, we want to add the name of the product. So we're gonna add vcard title, not text title, or we're gonna add p.name. Let's give it some styling. We want the price as well, so let's use a subtitle component for that. Let's make the price text color or primary color, and padding bottom of 3, and then let's add the tags that are associated with the product. So vcard text, and we're gonna use chips to display the different tags. So we're gonna iterate over the different tags as the tags. I think they're in an array. Yep. So let's iterate over them. V4. Whoa, what's that? So we're going to say TINP.tags. Of course, use a key. The key, we're going to use product, the product ID, followed by I. Very unique. Let's just put T there. We want these to be small, extra small. We want them to have the label style, we want them to be outlined. Let's just give them some space. So margin right 1. Yeah, that should be it. So now we can actually add this to our home page. So let's copy the path and add it right here. And of course we need to pass in the props. So we need the products, and it's going to be the products I'm down here. Let's close this and save and see if it works. it does. So we have all our product cards down here. Good. Alright, so the next section that we need to work on is the newsletter section, and of course that will be below the slider here. So let's jump back to VS Code and work on that. So let's just create a new component, newsletter. Yeah, newsletter is just going to be a card. It will be rounded, and let's just add some styling. And a color. Now in our newsletter card, it's gonna have a heading of newsletter and some text. Subscribe to receive discounts. Discounts and more. Let's add some style to our text. So this one, text medium, it's gonna be a 3. And for this one, text medium, it's gonna be a 6. And some margin top. Alright, so we want text field so the user can enter their email address, and a button to actually subscribe if we are to hook this up to a backend in the future. So let's just use a V-sheet to do that. Set the color to be transparent. Class MX Auto to send to the sheet, and the max width of 400. Now inside this we can add our text field. The label will be email. Type will be email. Will be outlined. And let's just model this to some data. So let's say email is now. Email. Below this text field, we need a button. So this button will be outlined as well. The minimum height of 50. It'll be a black button, and it'll just say subscribe. Now we want to call a function whenever the user click on this subscribe button. Let's just call it submit and create the method down here. Now in this, I'm just gonna add a sweet alerts model. So you can call this dot swap. Let's add title. Thank you for subscribing. It's gonna be a success. Let me add some configuration to this. So the allow outside click, I'm going to set that to false so that the user can click outside to close the modal. Allow escape key to false so they can't use escape to close the modal. I'm going to set a timer of 400, so the modal will show for 4 seconds. And we're going to show the timer progress bar. So let's set that true. And our text, let's just add this text here. So you'll be notified when we have a deal or items on sale. And let's remove the confirmation button as well. So we can save this, and that should be it for our newsletter components. Let's put it on our home page. Just copy the relative path, put some space between it and the slider. Hit save, and let's go to Chrome and see what's happening. So you scroll down, and here it is. We have our newsletter area, and if you click subscribe, you get this pop-up. Nice. Alright, so now that we have the newsletter component, let's create the scroll to top button that should be down here. Let's go back to VS Code and again close this newsletter, and let's just create a new component, scroll top. And this component is somewhat simple. It's just a button. So let's go VBTN, and we're gonna give it the fixed prop so that it stays in the bottom right hand corner of our screen at all times. Right bottom. Alright, let's make it a fab. Give it a color of primary. We want to also trigger some action whenever the page is scrolled, and we're going to put the v scroll directive from Vuetify on this button. So let's go v scroll, and the name of the function that we want to call whenever the window is scrolled is check scroll. We also want to show this button based on how much of our screen has been scrolled. So let's call this property show fab, and we need to create this property down here, but let's close this off first and put an icon inside this. So we're going to use the chevron up icon and save that. And set this to false initially. Alright, so for the method, we should create this method. So in this check scroll method, we're just gonna get the window scroll y value and perform some logic based on that. So just call this h is equal to window scroll y. Now we want to check if h is greater than 300, and if it is, we'll show the button, else we will hide the button. Now this will actually show and hide the button once we scroll the window. What we want to do once the button is visible is we want to be able to click on it, and then we should be able to go back to the top of the screen. So we add the add click and the go up method. So boom, boom, go up. And what this will do, it will call the go to method from our Vuetify object. So this $sign Vuetify dot go to, and we pass in the duration, and we want it to take 1 second. So if we add this to our home page, then we should see it appear once we scroll down on the screen. So let's jump back to Chrome and refresh for good measure. Scroll down and it appears. And if I click, scrolls back up and disappears. Alright, good. You will notice that it's just jumping on and off the screen, but we want it to actually transition in and out. So we're going to use another component from Vuetify. It's called Fab Transition. So V Fab Transition. Let's just move this down. And if we go back to Chrome, you see we have a nicer looking transition taking place. Alright, so that's it for the most part for the home screen. Next, we will create our products page. So let's jump back to VS Code and close this. And we want to create a page called products. So products / index.view. And in this product page, we will have our navigation bar at the top as well. So let's just bring that in, and we can bring it in by just going over here and copying this nav, and that should be it. So let's take a look to see if that's actually a thing in Chrome. So if we navigate to products, we have our navbar. If we click here, we go back to the home page. But we want to be able to click on a button and not type in products in the URL. So let's hook this button up to our products page. So back in VS Code, we will just go to our nav components, and for our store button, just add the Nux prop and the to prop, and we want to go to products. Hit save, go back to Chrome, and when we hit this, it takes us to the products page. Nice. Alright, so on the products page, we want to add a few elements. Let's close this, and the first thing we want to add is the section to display our categories and the search input field. So let's create a container, and let's put a row in this container, make it dense. Now the left side of the screen, we're just going to take up 3 of the 12 spaces in the grid system. So we column, and we want our column to take up 3 on medium and up screens, and we're going to add a div with the text field. So we're going to add an icon to the text field, which is the search icon. This is going to be an outline text field. It's going to be clearable as well, and we're going to give it a placeholder of search. Now once you save that and head back to Chrome, we'll go to the products page. You see this here, and it's clearable. Good. So head back to VS Code, and let's add our categories. So the list item shown in our categories will need the information from our content folder. In order to get that information, we'll have to get the data in the created hook. So let's just copy this from over our index page, paste it here. Now we don't want the sale items, we want categories. I want to say this are categories is equal to the content, then the category folder, which is this folder, and we're not using a where clause, we're just going to fetch everything. Same thing for the products. Now once we hit save and refresh our web page, we should see the categories with a view dev tool. Under here, categories, products. Good. So now that we have the categories and the products in our page, we want to start rendering them. To render them, we'll actually use a list. So below our text field, we'll just add a vlist. Now we're gonna add the subheader prop because we're gonna add a subheader in this list, and the color is going to be transparent. We also only want to show this list if we are on medium-sized screens and up, and to do that with Vuetify, you just say $Vuetify .breakpoint .md and up, and let's add our subheader. So v subheader, and this will be categories, and then we're gonna add our list items. So like I said earlier, we're just gonna loop over the categories. So that's a v4, and then we're just gonna add the image and the name of the category to the list. So vlist item avatar, just add the image, and it's going to be c.image. Let's close this. And for the list content, we're going to add the title, and it's going to be c.name. Alright, so let's save this and go back to Chrome and see what's happening. And there they are, or categories with images. So you can search for a product, and in a real world application, you'll be able to click on these things and it would filter the products that are in the different categories. Alright, so back to VS Code, and we now want to render our products. So in this column, we can minimize this, and the next column, we're gonna give this 9 spaces, and then we're going to use a row to display the different products. So instead of putting the v4 on the column within the row, I'm just going to use a template to iterate over the different products. And then inside the template, we use the column, and the column on smaller screens is going to take up all the space, and on larger screens just 6. We need to assign a key to the column as well, since it's inside an element with v4. Let's just name this product p.id, and we can use I as well. So inside this card, inside this column, we're gonna add a card, and of course this is gonna be a link to the product details page later on. We're gonna add a color of surface and a class of L to override the elevation, margin of 2 all around, margin bottom of 5, and margin right of 5. Then we can close this card, and let's add the information that we want to display about the product in the card here. So we're going to add the image and bind the source to the product's image URL and give it a height of 300. And of course, in this image we can add the placeholder as well. So let's just copy this prop and paste it in. Below the image we want to add our title, so I'm gonna copy this and paste it in as well. So it has a class of text body 1 on medium screens and up, and a font weight of bold on all screens. The price of the product will go below this in a subtitle component, Vuex Cart subtitle, and we'll make the text color primary, give it some padding bottom of 3, and just render the price here. We also want to add the tags associated with the product, so we just put that in a Vuex Cart text component, and it's the same chip from our product slider component. So we can save this and check our Chrome to see what's happening. And there we go, our products are in and looking good. Now we want to be able to search here to find different products. You can see now it's not working, so let's just add that functionality. So back in VS Code we have to create a filter, a computed property that will filter the actual results as we search. So let's create a search property first, set it to null, and bind our text field up here to this property. So it's a search, and in our computed property we're going to have a property called filtered products. And first we're going to check if the search term is null or empty, or if there are no products. So if for some strange reason we didn't load any products, we're just gonna return this products or this empty array. Now if we do have something in our search field and something in products, then we want to return products based on the user's search term. So we're going to say this are products, filter. Let's just declare these variables locally to this function. So S is going to be the search term to lowercase, and that's lowercase. The name is going to be the name of the product that's being passed in this filter function, to lowercase as well. The price is going to be the price of the product, to string, string is written like this, so common T. And for the sales price, let's just put SP, and it's going to be p.sale price, and we're going to check if this value exists, and if it does exist, we're going to call the toString method on it. Otherwise, we're just going to pass in an empty string, and the rating is going to p.ratings toString as well. And from this filter function, we just want to return n, which is the name, if it includes s, or if price includes s, or if s price includes s, or if the rating includes s. So if we save this, we can now change the products here to filter products. I want to save that. We can head back to browser and see if everything is working. So let's refresh this and let's type in, yep, Beats. And if we type in Nike, yep, and if we clear this, it returns all the products. Good. Alright, so now that we have the products, the categories, it's been filtered, we can add the footer to this page and the scroll to top button. So let's jump back to VS Code and let's just copy them from over here and paste them at the bottom of this. And let's see what they look like in Chrome. Alright, good. So now we need to add the details page for each product. We won't be adding it for each product. We're just gonna navigate to a URL with the product ID in it, and then we can get the product information based on that URL param. So when you go to product/1 or 151, it should load the product information that corresponds with this product ID. So let's jump back to VS Code and let's create this product page. So we can close these, I think, and go to pages, products, underscore dot view, underscore ID dot view. So let's go to div and let's add a navigation bar. And then let's call the product information based on the URL parameter of ID for this product. So once this page is created, we want to call the we want to get the information from the content folder. So let's copy and paste this in, and instead of products, let's just say product, and the product is going to be this content products dot where the ID is equal to the ID that's passed in via the route params. This ID that's passed in from the route params is actually a string, so we need to convert that to an integer because the JSON file, they're all integers here, they're not strings. So let's just use parseInt, and we're going to get this router params ID. It should send back only one item, but we can explicitly tell the content module to limit it to only one, and we want to fetch that information. this thing is going to return an array, so it will be best to store the response in a variable. Let's say cons p, and then we can say the product is equal to p, the first item in p. Of course, we need to create this product variable, so let's just put it there and set it to null. Alright, so now if we should navigate to this page, it should pull the product information for the product with the ID in the params object. To navigate to this page, we'll need to add a click function to the different products. So let's go to the product title, and on this card we can just add nuxt to, and we want to go to products slash the product ID, and we want to add this piece of code to where do we want to add this? To the home carousels button as well. So here where it says checked out, we want to navigate to the product detail page as well, so let's add it there, and I think that's it for now. Let's jump back to Chrome and see what's happening. So let's go to the home page. If I click on this, oops, we have an error. So it cannot read properties of undefined, it's reading ID. What's causing this? Let's jump back to VS Code and see what's causing this. So from the home carousel, let's see, we have p.id. I think the issue is here. Yeah, the issue is here. So instead of router, it should actually be route. So this route.params the ID. So jump back to Chrome and refresh this page, and we have no error. And if we inspect, we should see the information for this specific product, and it's here. So now we can actually render the information in the template. So let's jump back to VS Code. Alright, so in VS Code we want to actually render the product on the screen. So let's go vContainer, and we only want to show this if the product is present. I'm gonna use a row. Let's just justify the center, and then a column. And for smaller screens, 11. For medium and up, 7. So let's display the name of the product. So we're going to say product.name, and let's just style this a little. Let's put it in the center. Change the size on medium screens and make it bold. We're gonna add the rating, so let's use the v-rating component from Vuetify. We're gonna make it read only. We're gonna allow half increments, so we can have 4.5 stars. We're gonna give it a bit of margin from the bottom. We're gonna make the star colors yellow, darken 2, so a darker shade of yellow. The background color for empty stars, we're gonna use gray. The value, this accepts the number of stars that you want to be filled out. We're just gonna use product.ratings for this. Let's change the size of the widget itself, and let's close this. Alright, after the rating, we want to add the tags. So let's just copy the tags that we've been using, the same chips. And then we're going to render the image. So instead of typing out the entire image, it's not much. Let's just copy and paste the image in. So it's gonna have a width of 100%, that elevation and rounded corners, and it's gonna take up 50% of the screen. We also want to render the description of the product, and then we want a button that will allow us to add this specific product to the cart. So let's create that button. So the minimum height of 45, minimum width of 170. I want the text to be capitalized, and we want it to have our primary color. And of course, it's just going to say add to cart. So let's save this and see what it looks like in Chrome. And this is what it looks like. I don't know why these things are not centered, but let's fix that. So in VS Code, let's just jump back to the rating, and I'm going to wrap this thing in a div with a class of center, and let's see with some margin from the top. So we want the rating to be centered, and we want the chips to be centered. Good. So now if we go back to our home screen, click on any of these things, it should take us to the details of this page. The same should happen for these as well. Yep. So from the card, yep. Good. Now we want to add the footer and the scroll to top button to this page. So let's jump back to VS Code, and let's just copy it from our index page. Put it here. I may want some space. Jump back to Chrome, and there we go. Good. So now that we've added the details page, we want to add the add to cart function to our application. To accomplish this, I'm going to use Vuex. So let's just jump back to VS Code and create our cart store in Vuex, or cart folder in Vuex. So we right click, create a new file, it's called cart state.js, and the state in Vuex, it should export a default function that returns an object. So let's just do that. Return an object, and in this object will be our cart. So initially our cart will just be an empty array. We'll also add some mutations to this store. So let's just create a new file called mutations.js, and mutations just export a default object. And the first mutation that we want to add is a mutation to load the cart. Mutations take in a state and payload, but for this one we don't need a payload, just a state. So we're going to get our cart from local storage. Let's just try to get it here. So it's gonna be local storage dot get item, and let's just name it free cart. And we're gonna check if free cart exists. So if we have that value, then we want to set the cart in our state, which is this thing. We want to set it to the cart that we got from local storage. So JSON parse cart. Now to add an item to our cart, we are going to have to pass in a product. So let's call this function add to cart, accept a state, and then a product. And then we want to check if the item is in the cart already. So we're going to say let item found be equal to state.cart at find, and because the cart is going to be an array, we can use a find function, and this takes in another function that should return a value. So this function will accept the parameter p, which represents a single product in the cart, and we're going to check if p dot product the ID is exactly equal to the product that's being passed in, which is this one's ID. Now if we do not find it, so if the item is not found, then we're going to say state cart dot push, and we're going to push an object. We're going to pass in the product, which is this one that's passed in, and then we're going to create a quantity field and set it to 1. If it does exist, meaning the item that we search for exists, then we're just gonna increment the quantity by 1. Alright, now after we update the cart variable over here in the state, we want to save the item to local storage. So we're just going to update local storage. So it's going to be local storage dot set item, and up here we call it free cart. So we're going to set free cart to the stringified version of our cart. So it's JSON.stringify state.cart. And of course, once the cart is updated, we want to notify our user to let them know that, hey, we updated your cart successfully. So we're going to use the sweet alert to do that. So we're going to set it to a toast. The text is going to be cart updated. We're going to use the success icon. Timer is going to be 4 seconds. We are not going to show the confirm button, and we're going to show the progress of the timer. We also want to change the position to top end, and that's it for the add to cart function. Once an item is in our cart, we also want the ability to decrease the item count, to remove it, remove a specific item, to increase the item count, and to clear the cart entirely. So let's add these functions. The decrease item count function is going to take in the index of the item that we want to decrease, we're just gonna say let's item equal to state dot cart at the given index, and then we want to say if we can't find this item, do nothing. Oh. And we're gonna check if the item's quantity is exactly equal to 1, and if it is, we're just gonna remove the item from the cart entirely, because we don't want items in our cart with a quantity of 0. So we're gonna do state.cart dot splice, and we want to start removing the index that was passed in, and we want to take off 1 item. Else, if the quantity isn't 1, then we're gonna just remove 1 from the count. And of course, we have to update our user to let them know that hey, cart was updated. So cart updated, success message, stop end, and of course we want to update local storage again. So that's the decrease function. We want the ability to remove an item from the cart, so let's add that function. Remove cart item, state, index, and we just want to splice the cart state at a given index. So we will state that cart.splice index, remove 1 item, and of course update our user and update local storage. So let's say item remove, and then we want to be able to increase the item count. So let's go increase count, and let's check for the item. So the item is going to be state.cart index, and then we just want to increase the quantity, so plus equal 1, and of course update the user and local storage. So cart updated, and lastly we need a function to clear our cart. We won't be passing in anything here. We'll just have to state, and state that cart is going to be equal to an empty array, and then we want to remove the cart key from local storage. So free cart is what we'll be removing. Good. So now that we have these functions in place, one more thing I want to do is I want to create a plugin that will actually load our cart whenever we start our application or navigate to anywhere in our application. To accomplish that, we have to use a plugin. So let's create a plugins directory, plugins, and let's just name this cart plugins cart.js. In this plugin, we're going to export a default function with no name, and we're going to take in the store from the context, and also we're going to use the inject function. So on load, we just want to call the load cart method from our mutations here. So we're just going to say store dot commit cart and load cart. So once we call this, it will actually assign the cart from our local storage to the cart state. The next thing that I want to do is I want to inject a function that will actually format our prices. So I'm going to do inject. We're going to call this format money, and this inject method takes in the name of the function, so the name that you want to give it globally, and then what should be returned or what should happen when this function is called. So it's going to accept param, just call money, and I want to return a new international number format. In the number format, we have to pass in the local, so I'm going to use AN US, and then for the options, I'm going to use currency, set it to USD, and style should be currency. Then we call the format method and pass in what we want to format. Good. Now we want to add this plugin to our config file. So copy the relative path, go here and paste it in and save. So restarting the server, and let's check Chrome to see if we have any errors as soon as this finishes. Alright, good. Let's refresh. No errors so far. No errors so far. Alright, so let's jump back to VS Code. Now let's close the terminal, and we want to use this format money function on the different places where we're displaying the price of the products. So in components, let's go to the carousel. We have it here, and how you use this is $, the name of the function, and the parameter, which is going to be the price. If we should save that. Let's go to product slider, using the price here as well. And let's go to our products page, showing the price here as well. So let's remove this. Format price, and I don't think this card is actually redirecting. No, it's not. So let's change this to products / PID, and let's go back to Chrome and check it out. Yep, prices are being formatted correctly here, here as well. Good. Alright, so now that we have the functions in place, let's add the add to cart function on the product details page. So let's go back to VS Code, and for the product details page, whenever the user clicks on the add to cart button, we want to trigger that mutation. So let's go click, and we want to call store commit, set cart namespace, and we want to call the add to cart mutation. So add to cart, and then we pass in the product, which is this product down here. So let's just save that and see if it's actually doing anything. So jump back to Chrome, let's click this, and it works. You see the add to cart thing here, and if we inspect Vuex, there's one item in our cart, and if we click this, cart updated, the quantity increases. Alright, good. Let's see if it's being stored in our local storage free cart. Yes, it is. Alright, good. So now we want to update this cart icon if the user has an item in the cart. So let's jump back to VS Code. And we want to go to the nav component and down to the cart button. Alright, so what we will do for this is we'll display a badge if there is an item in the cart for the user. So let's go v badge, and we only want to show this badge if the store state cart or cart dot length is greater than 0. Oh. If it is, let's show this icon, and if it's not, then we'll show the empty icon, else. So I want this badge to overlap, and I want the content to be what do I want this content to be? The number of items in the cart. So let's just carry this over, hit save. Let's jump back to Chrome and refresh, and you can see the number here. So we have one item in our cart. Let's try adding something else. Let's add this headphone. So we'll get the notification, and then 2 items. Now this icon button should be switching the theme of our application from light to dark. So let's implement that now. So in our nav component, we'll just call a function on this button when it's clicked. Let's call it toggle theme. Let's copy this here. Oh. And when this method is called, we just want to change the Vuetify theme to the opposite of what it is. So it's going to be the opposite of what it is. So let's save that and see if it's happening. Chrome, and it works. Now of course, if you refresh the page, we'll go back to the light theme. You can actually persist this if you want in local storage, but I'm not going to do that here. But it works as it should. Next thing that we want to do is to implement our cart page. So let's jump back to VS Code. And we want to create a folder called cart. Now in this cart page, we want to show our navbar. So let's just type out nav. And whenever we click on the cart icon, we should be taken to this page. So let's just add it here and down here. Now, if we have no items in our cart, we want to let the user know that, hey, nothing is here. You can actually add some items to continue. So let's just add some style into this div and add the message. No items just yet. Keep shopping. Save that. And this should only be the case if, like I said earlier, we have no items in our cart. So vf store state cart, not cart, length is equal to 0. And why are we getting this error message? Oh, it's v4, it should be if. I'm not iterating over anything. And then we will have a container with the different products that are in our cart. So the container, and we want a row, and we're going to loop over the items in our cart. I'm gonna keep doing that. And we want items in our cart, so store.state.cart.cart. And I'm just going to copy and paste the code here, and then we can explain it as I go along. Alright, so here we have a column with a card inside. It's flat and the color is going to be surface. We have a button at the top with a delete icon inside, and this will remove the item from the cart. As you can see, it's calling the remove cart item that we created in mutations earlier, which is this. So you just pass in the index and it will remove the item from the cart. The index in this case will be I. Next we have another row which will help us to lay out the items on our cart. So you see we have the product image here with a height of 220. We have the name of the product followed by the quantity, and we also have the price of the product here, and this is multiplied by the quantity. We also have another icon button that will increase the quantity for this item, and a minus button that will decrease the quantity. And between the two buttons we're displaying the quantity count. The only thing left to add to this is the footer component and the scroll to top component. So let's just add them here. And let's check Chrome to see if it's working. So if I click on cart, there we go, we have these items in the cart, and if I click on the plus button, it increases the quantity and the price, decrease. And if we should go below 1, try to decrease after 1, it will remove the item from the cart completely. You can also explicitly remove them like this, and you can see the message here, no items yet, keep shopping. And of course the badge is no longer being displayed. So let's go back to our products page and add a few more products. Then we can go to our cart page and we see them here. So once we're on our cart page, the next thing that we want to do is we want to proceed to checkout. So let's add that checkout button up here. So let's jump back to VS Code. And right above our row, we want to add that button. So it's just going to be this button, and what's happening is we're checking if we have more than one item in our cart before displaying this button. And what this button will do when clicked is it will move on to the confirm page, which we will be creating now. So inside cart, let's create a new file called confirm.view. And of course we want to add our navigation bar in here. So let's save this file and go to the confirm file. And inside confirm, we want to display this message as well if there are no items in the cart and the user somehow navigates to this page. Let's just add that here. We also want the option of confirming once you've entered all the necessary information in the different fields, and we want the option of going back. So let's just add that here as well. Close this container. So let me just paste these buttons in. So this button will take us back to the cart page, and this one will complete the order by calling this process function, which we haven't implemented yet. Inside the container, we want to create two forms that will allow us to accept user information. So instead of typing everything out, let me just copy the form over. That's a pretty long form. So to briefly explain what's happening, we're using the vForm component, and we have added a ref of form to it and added a class of margin top. A little label at the top of the form to say what we're collecting here, and of course we have email, name, phone, address, city, country, and some credit card information here. Let's create these properties. Let me just copy them over. So we added a dummy credit card here with an expiration date and CVV, and then we want to create the rules for the different input fields. Now what I'm going to do is create a property called rules here, and rules will be an object, not an array, with different functions. Now the required function is going to accept a value, and it's going to return true if value is truthy, and if it's not, it's going to return this text called required. So let's save this. And the second rule that we want to add is this email rule. And it's going to be a function that takes in a value as well. And inside this function, we're going to get a regular expression. So let's call this pattern. And we're going to set it to this regular expression for validating an email. And then we're going to return pattern test the value that was passed in, and if it fails, then we just return a string that says invalid email. Now let's see if all of this is working. Let's jump back to Chrome. We have our checkout button. Let's refresh the page, and if we go to checkout, and yep, rules are working. Should be able to go back with this button, go forward with this button. Good. Now we want to implement the complete function, the process function. So when the user enters the information here, we can process their order. So let's jump back to VS Code. And we're going to go to methods and add process. Just make this asynchronous. And the only thing that we'll be doing is just checking if the form is valid. So we set this $refs form, and form is coming from this ref here, and we're going to call the validate method. So if it's not valid, then we'll just do nothing. If it is valid, we're just going to notify the user with a sweet alert pop-up. So let me just copy and paste this over. So we're going to wait on this to run for 3 seconds. We're just going to say processing the order. We're going to show the info icon. We're not going to allow the user to close the dialog, and the text is going to be please wait. Once this 3 seconds has passed, then we're going to show a second dialog, and that second dialog is going to say, hey, your order is complete, thank you so much, and it's going to run for 4 seconds, and then we're going to remove the items from the cart that the user just ordered and go to the home screen. So we're going to call the clear cart method from the mutations, then push the home screen. So let's save this and see if it works. Let's jump back to Chrome. If we try to complete this, of course it asks you to enter some valid information, and if you enter some valid information and click complete, then it says please wait. You can click outside, and then it takes you back to the home screen, clears the cart, no items. Alright, I think that's it. I think the source code for this thing will be in the description, so you can check it out if you need to copy and paste anything. or if you just want to download it and play around with it, modify it. Yeah, that's up to you. But yeah, that's how you create an e-commerce store with Nux, Vuetify, and some images from Pexels.